Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to everyone out there, to all our viewers on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. We welcome you to build your best life as you go on your way to being a better you. Why not follow my basic principles to build your best life? So I thank you for joining us on this Tuesday as we have our monthly parents chat. And I am pleased to have with me today, all the way from Nassau, New Providence, Miss Anastasia Smith. And Anastasia was influenced by her mother's love for teaching and her experiences as a middle child. Miss Anastasia Smith decided to pursue a career in education. She is a mother of two, a student of University of the West Indies, a mentor of the Youth Empowerment Program, and a strong believer that in order to be heard, we must speak. And it is this belief that led her to join in Toastmasters International. She has many pursuits in the making, but she would count it as a major achievement is to be remembered as someone that has lived a life first pleasing to God, but secondly, that she has left a positive impact on the next generation. So please welcome me, join me and welcome me, Ms. Anastasia Smith, to Build Your Best Life.
Thank you so much for having me, Miss Deborah. I am so happy to be here.
Great, 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 great. And hello, Dan and Brady Robinson. Thank y'all for tuning in today. And I hope you enjoy this parents chat. So Anastasia, first of all, I read your bio, but can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? What are you doing? What do you got going on? What do you like to do?
Well, what's happening with me right now is the Be Becoming platform. What that is work in education as far as trainings and curriculum development, but also working with young people for mentoring purposes, counseling purposes, and, just that necessary guidance that they need.
All right, great, great. I'm so happy to have you on. And I can't wait to get started. I love these chats because I believe, it takes a village to raise our young people. Parents can't do it alone. The teachers cannot do it alone. It takes all of us working together to embrace them, show them that they're loved, and those things that we can do to show them what it takes to build their best lives. Excuse me. Now, one of the things that I believe is that many social issues bound our young men, holding them back from obtaining the success they deserve. Do you agree? And if so, please provide some examples of how you think our young men are bound by society and held back.
I do agree. And I believe that a part of their holding is the power of the tongue. As us church people would know, and we would say all the time, and we always hear it. Oh, there's power in the tongue, there's power in the tongue. But what a lot of parents and other adults don't realize is that when you speak into a child, you are speaking from a place of authority, especially a parent. You have authority over that child. And so if it is, which most times happen, that child begins to absorb your words and they begin to absorb that type of energy, that negative energy that you're continuing to put on them and push into them. And they begin to believe it. And they believe that, you know what, I can't be anything more than because my mom doesn't believe I'm going to be more than. I can't be more than because my dad doesn't think I'm going to be more than. And that's just in the home. There's also the external factors of what social media wants them to be and what they think their teachers want them to be and what they think their friends want them to be. And so there's a lot of influence that's surrounding these young persons who may not have that one or two necessary voices that will tell them, okay, what are you wanting for yourself? What do you think that you should be? What do you think that you need in your life? Where do you think that you want to go? Or what do you want to be? And not just ask them that, because we have these SMART goals. I keep on hearing them over and over again, but you're going to give them the steps to achieving those goals. And that's what's needed for them in order for them to make it in today's society, to be tomorrow's leaders.
Right, I agree. They need that that push to get them over to, being better and prospering and whatever. So whatever negative things are spoken over them, regardless of it's their peers, their parents, like you said, the teachers, whatever, it's a chain that's holding them back. And I do believe that, we have to get to a point where we are assisting them and showing them how they can break those barriers. So thank you for that. Well, Build Your Best Life focuses on ensuring that young men have the opportunity to be their best selves. Now, you have a son, so can you please tell the audience ways that you believe that parents often go wrong in raising their sons? What are some of the things that you think parents may do this is not necessarily the right process in raising sons?
I believe that one major thing that we do that is so hard to get away from, it's also a part of, sowing that negative seed in them. But as parents, one of the things that we do a lot of is compare them to other kids, to other people, to what somebody else is doing. And my son is not the most vocal. My daughter actually is, but because she's so vocal, she'll always tell me what's on her mind. Whether I want to hear it or not, she will tell me what's on her mind. My son, I have to really pay more attention to him because he's kind of natured like me. He has more of a quiet nature to him. So I really have to pay attention to how he responds to things and what he's saying to me. When he decides to speak to me, I make sure that I'm listening. But I also noted that as he was getting older, if I said, oh, boy, you see how, because he used to play baseball, you see how this one hits and I know you can do it. Why don't you do it too? You could do it this way. You could do it that way. And he actually got to the point where he told me he didn't want to do it anymore. He absolutely wanted to quit it. And so I had to step back and say, okay, I know this is something that he really likes. I know this is something that he is really talented at. So why would he want to leave it? And so I had to look at my approach to it. And so in that season, I told him, okay, this is your season. Whatever you decide to do with it, it's well done. However you decide to play, it's on you. But I'm going to bring you here. I'm going to sit in the stands. I'm going to try to be as quiet as possible. And you just go ahead and what you do. And in that year, he grew more than he had in all of his previous years of playing. He was more confident because he knew that I wouldn't put a fuss with him after the game, because after the game is done, we in the car, we on the ride home, and we talking about everything that happened straight through the game. But we stopped doing that. I stopped talking about what the other kids are doing or anything like that, and I just tried to encourage him and tell him what he did well. And so as the season went on, he became more confident with it. He didn't have to worry about me yelling at him about anything. And so that was a decision that I made that was for the best of him, because he wouldn't tell me that, Mom, I don't like it when you compare me to the other boys or whatever else. But I saw it started to break his spirit a bit. And so I had to step back and, change my method of dealing with him. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we do, that comparison to what someone else is doing or how quickly someone else is moving. And, someone else is doing better in school, but you know what? He's doing well too. You
Right.
know, you don't want the bar to be set low. You don't want to say that you have low standards for your kids, but not everyone blooms or grows or shows at the same time and at the same pace. So patience is key, and you got to treat your kid like the individual that they are.
Oh, that's great. And that's so interesting that you use the word patience and you talked about comparing, because on the pastor's chat last week, I had Pastor J. Scott Cotton of Jacksonville, and he said some of the same things. And he said his brother was older than he was, and his brother was a really, really good student. And so the teachers expected him to be, a mirror image of his brother, and he was not. And that began to make him like angry or whatever. So it's very important that I'm trying to get the guys, the young men, to realize that they are individuals and they need to stand out and not fit in, but everybody else needs to realize that as well. Each person is an individual. Each person has individual talents and goals, and they're not going to be like anybody else. So that's very, very good. That's confirmation.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, what are some helpful tips that parents can use to stay open and communicate effectively with young men? Because it sounds like you have that line of communication open. So, what are some tips that you can give, as an educator and as a parent about being open and communicating? Can you hear me?
Okay. One thing that I would say to parents is to listen to your child. You don't want your child to feel as if what they're saying to you is falling on deaf ears. And yes,
Okay. Kind of going in and out. Do you think you need to close down and come back on? Are you okay? Can you hear me, Anastasia?
hi.
Hi. Well, I'm not sure on this end. You going in and out, so I didn't know if you wanted to go out and come back in or not. You think you're okay now? Okay. I think Anastasia's going to go out and come back in, make sure she's connected really well. But we're talking about communicating with our young people. And I found that that is something that, especially in today's time where everything is so fast paced, everything is moving, parents are moving, grandparents are moving, the kids are moving. They have so many activities they're doing. School, we're working virtually. They're working, going to school virtually. Some of them on campus. Some of them have to go back and forth. So it can get, a really, let's say everybody's going like you see the highway when they speed up and do the fast-paced speed on news. So everything is moving. So it is very important that we try to slow down, have those meals together, have that FaceTime or Skype time, whatever, with our young people so that we can have those great conversations with them, conversations where, everybody gonna have these and everybody's doing this and we're eating and we're doing this and the TV's on, but we're putting these away. We're turning the TV off. We're trying to have a meal together and we are communicating. We are communicating. So communicating is not everybody talking. Communicating is verbal. It's the nonverbals as well as behavior. So you need to ensure that you are listening to your young people, listening more than doing all the talking, because they probably hear you all the time, your rules, what you're going to tolerate, what you're not, what your expectations are, what your rules are around the house. So they're familiar with all of that. So just take a listen. Hi, how are things going in school? But then don't go on to the next thing. Kind of pause. They may not spurt it out right then, but, they may get to it. Oh, you don't have anything, particular going on. Well, you ask the next child or you say something. And then as they warm up, then they may begin to talk. Well, they have a new game going around our school, I've heard, and they're trying to get a lot of the people in my grade to join. And so far nobody has approached me. Oh, so why do you think they haven't approached you? You get in that conversation and then, if they approach you, then what do you think you're going to say? But get into that conversation where you're listening. And then if they are just super quiet, they're sitting there, they have nothing to say. Okay, well, why are they not saying anything? Now, if it's a child that is normally always quiet, that's one thing. But if they, normally have regular conversations with the family, but all of a sudden they don't have anything to say, they're more quiet, they begin to ask, might be excuse for the table, can I eat in my room? Well, why do you want to go and eat in your room? Sometimes, there's something going on, so you have to listen for those types of clues. What's really going on? It's important that we do all the types of communication. Listen, looking for the nonverbals, and what's that behavior? What's going on? Because we say a lot with our eyes, our posture, what have you. So there could be a lot that is going on. And, parents out there, you have any tips? Let me see, I think Anastasia's back. Do you have any tips as far as communication? You can put it in the chat. All right, you back. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Anastasia? Welcome, Peggy and Eunice Miller, Terrell Connell. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, you can hear now? Okay. I think we can hear you as well. So you were talking about the communication.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, well, you were talking about communication. You can go ahead with that that question. Helpful tips with the parents communicating with our young men.
Can you hear me?
I just heard you say, "Can you hear me?" Yes. Okay, you kind of froze on this end right now.
Right. I was giving 3 tips to help with communicating. And one of them was to listen. It does. And one of their tips that I was giving was
Okay, we have in our chat, limit the distractions, give them your full attention, turn off phones, computers, and television when you and your child are communicating. Very good. That was from Tamara. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And more listening than speaking. I agree. That's very key to communicating with our young people, to make sure that we are listening and hearing what's going on with them and what they need from us. All right, Anastasia, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. If you could go back and, well, you gave us listen. As far as communication, you told us number one was listen.
Miss Deborah, can you?
Well, you freezing back and forth. I heard you say, Miss Deborah, can you hear me? And then nothing. Okay. And another question I was going to ask, if you could go back in time, are there areas you feel you would do differently relating to raising your son? if you could go back in time, of the areas you feel you would do differently related to raising your son. Now, I would have to say, raising my son, I have 3 sons, listening would definitely be one of them. I was one always had so much to say, blah, 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 you know, you're going to do what I say, when I say, how I say, blah, 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 blah. So I was doing a lot of the talking. If I could go back and change it, I would definitely listen more. You back with us? As far as being strict, I was very, very strict, you know, just because Joe and Bob down the street were going out and they didn't have to be in to 2 and 3. We had to be in at 11. Well, my oldest son had to be in at 11. If I allowed him to go out in the car, he could only take one friend with him, maybe 2. And that was because why? Because if there were 2 or 3 or 4 young black men in a car, they were more likely to be pulled over. So I didn't allow them to do that. I was strict as far as them going anywhere, you know, like a lot of parents, like, you know, like the sleepovers or whatever. But if I didn't
Miss
know,
Deborah, can you hear
okay,
me?
I can hear you now. You back? Go ahead.
I can.
Okay, yeah. So you gave us back on communication. You gave us number 1 was to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the second one is to speak. And in speaking, we need not only to try to paint the pretty pictures for them.
Okay, speak, not just the pretty pictures, but I guess those candid conversations.
It's very delayed, it seems.
Okay, so we have number 1 is listen, and number 2 is speak, but not just paint the pretty pictures. You have to have those candid conversations with your young people. Sometimes you have to step out on those conversations that you know, might not be as comfortable. You might have to go into the area talking about sex and, you know, safe sex and what no means. No really means no. Doesn't mean maybe. It means no. And yeah, I'm not sure what her third one was, but being communicating is very key. And I was talking about if I could go back. So maybe some of you could put in the chat, if you could go back and raising your sons, what are some things that you might do differently? If you put that in the chat, I can comment on that. And hello, Valerie Norris. Thank you for tuning in. And Peggy. I think I saw everyone else out there. Thank you all for tuning in this evening. Sorry, we are having technical difficulties, but you know how it is. So like the going back in time, like, I think I wouldn't talk as much as I did before, but I would definitely still have the rules. I still would not be the yes mom just because somebody else was doing it. I would allow my sons to do it. Uh, Trying to think anything else that I would do differently. I was a yeller. Uh, I mellowed as I got older, as I matured in my Christian faith as well. So I think that I definitely would not be a yeller. I would try to have a smooth conversation, like I try to teach now, stop, think, and then act. That I would think more before I begin yelling and talking. So I think those would be some of the things that would be different, that I would do differently if I could go back. Hi, Anastasia. Looks like she's still frozen. He's still frozen. Hi, Naomi. I'm so sorry. Uh, so I hate to do all the talking, but when you tune in, I'll be quiet. Another question I had for Anastasia is, in your opinion, do single moms?
Hi.
Hi. You just go ahead and start talking. So we got the communication piece. We got listen and speak, and your conversations don't always have to be pretty pictures. You can have those candid conversations. So we got that. And then I had talked about if you could go back in time, what are some things that you think you would do differently? Hey, she frozen again. Um, so for the question, in your opinion, do single moms have significant challenges raising young men? Well, I think some do, and I believe that some don't. Of course, moms cannot teach a man to be a man because we don't know how men think. We can teach them how to respect young ladies. We can teach them how to act. We can help them educational wise. We can show them things that, as far as experience, what we have experienced in life, and trying to show them those things so that they won't make the mistakes that we made in life. I don't think because someone has a single mom that they are set up for failure. That is not almost true. Because I know
I
I have been back.
hear yours, but it seems that it has such a delay on it that it's crossing up. That's why there are the long pause, silence. But I have gone fight.
Okay, single moms can do, and I think, an excellent job in raising their sons. It's just that, again, as a woman, we don't know how men think. So that, there are certain things that they do need a male role model to assist them with, but it's not like you want anyone speaking into your son's life. But if there's someone, a man that you respect and you think highly of, you kind of know their background, you don't have to worry about them being a pedophile or someone that's going to harm your child in any way, then you can
Hi. Now, is this better?
I would say you look like you're in a different spot.
Listen, I have changed from Wi-Fi to hardline into my laptop to hotspotting my laptop, and I've given up on the laptop, and now I'm on my cell phone.
Oh, okay.
We're going to see how this goes today.
Oh, you sound like you're ready. All right.
Yeah. Got so much to share with you guys, and it's just keep on messing with me.
Hey,
the devil will not win.
All right. Okay, so you want to you're giving us the 3 points for communication. We ain't got 2. You want to go ahead with that?
Okay, and so you got listen, you got speak, and the third one would have been to understand. What we do a lot of is just listening to respond. What we do a lot of is just hearing what we want to hear, picking out pieces and portions of what someone says to us and holding on to that instead of taking in the entire thing that they've said or going the extra step of understanding where they're coming from when they say it. And that's something that's important for these kids because they haven't lived the life that we have. They haven't seen the things and experienced the stuff that we've already gone through. So they're speaking from their level of understanding. And sometimes we have to bring it down a little bit and open our minds to the possibility that, you know what, maybe this child really is trying to tell me something, and what they're saying is important enough for me to step back and truly listen and not just hear what they're saying, but to understand where they're coming from when they say it. That is something that has been so important with both of my kids, but especially my daughter, to believe it or not, because my best friend always tells me about how Taurus goes, Mayborns go, and she tells me that they are going to say what it is that they need to say. They don't care how you feel about it or how you react to it. They just need to get it off of their chest. But like I said, my son is absolutely the opposite. I have to probe him and pick at him a little bit. So when it is that he is telling me something, I have to make sure that I'm listening to him with an open ear and that I'm trying to understand where he's coming from with it, so that I don't shut him down and make him feel that the next time he wants to say something to me, that it won't be received well, or I'm not going to take in what it is that he's trying to say. So those were my 3. I finally got them out. It was speaking, listening to them, listen to them speak, whatever it is they want to tell you. Even if listen, my daughter calls me just to say hi sometimes. Just to say hi. She wants to tell me about hair, and she wants to tell me about what someone else did on social media and whatever else. And I am in the midst of working. But I have to put her on speakerphone and just let her talk because she needs to feel that I'm listening. Right. You have to speak, because when it is that you project this perfection onto kids, even though they can see that we're not perfect, right, they're paying full attention to what it is we're doing and how we're doing it. But when you don't tell them that, you know what, I've been to where you at now, I've seen a lot of the stuff. No, it was a different era. It was 20 some years ago, 30 some years ago. And so there was different things going on. But if they at least have the notion that you kind of understand what they mean and that you have made mistakes and that's how you know what you know, or you have been through some things and that's how you know what you know, and you're speaking from a place of experience and not just something that you read in a book, they'll be more receptive to it. And then, of course, understanding.
Definitely. Very good. Those good 3 points. I'm glad you got back on to tell us what those were. Excellent.
Yes.
Our next question I have for you is, if you could go back in time, are there areas that you feel that you would do differently in raising your son?
Well, I wish that I had accepted him for who he is sooner. We've now come to the point where he has been the same kid forever. He has absolutely been the same kid forever and ever since he was a year old and started to display a personality. He has been the same kid. It took for me to accept him as the person that he is for things to become a lot smoother with us and for everything to go not perfectly, but better. Because with me now accepting him for who he is, for the slow moving child, as the procrastinator, I can then try to still guide him because I'm his mom. That's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm still going to try and guide him and get him to do what it is I need him to do or what he needs to do in order for him to be a successful kid. But I'm not going to gauge him by anybody else's bar because he definitely has his own. I'm not going to compare him to anybody else. And my approach to him is different now. I know that I cannot come at him aggressively because guess what? He does the same thing that I used to do when anyone comes at me aggressively. Either I am going to shut down and I am not listening to you at all, like completely. I am looking at you in your face, looking at your mouth move and not receiving anything that you've said to me. Or I'm going to give you the same energy back. And I'm going to become aggressive with you. And then when your aggression heightens, mine does too. And then it's not a pretty situation. So either way, the point is not being received.
Right.
And so I realized that the best way to get to him is a conversation, which is the best way to get to me. I don't know what took me so long to realize it, but the best way to get to him is a conversation. When you ask him something, listen to the response, try to understand it, and then continue on from there.
That's good stuff. All right, so parents, you hear that? We have to let our kids be who they are. We can't compare them to their siblings, their cousins, their neighbors, or anybody else. They are who they are, and they're going to be who they are. And we just frustrate ourselves and make things worse when we try to make them somebody that they're not. And that hurts them. We don't know how much, and it can impact them later on in life. So we need to listen, watch, understand,
and
let them be who they are so that we can be better parents and help them to be better. We can help them along their way of being who they are. We can do a better job of assisting them.
So or as you always say, we can help them to build their best life.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Okay, my next question, and I don't know if you've ever been a single mom, but I know as an educator, you have probably dealt with children that come from single family homes. In your opinion, do you believe that single moms have a significant challenge in raising young men?
Oh, absolutely. The thing with that is that as a woman, there are certain things that you absolutely cannot teach a young boy. You literally can't. Whether it is that you don't have the anatomy to do it, like you literally cannot teach them to stand in front of the toilet to use the bathroom. You can't do that.
All right.
But along with that, you cannot teach a young man how to treat a woman because you're not a man. And so as far as they're concerned and the way that they're seeing it is, you know, it's a gender treatment. It's not how one gender treats another. So the understanding level of what it is that you may be doing, because I'm sure that my son watches the dynamic between me and my daughter. And even when she's doing something that I don't agree with, my way in dealing with her has to be different than my way in dealing with him. Because as a girl, I can tell her, listen, don't play with me. There is only one woman in this house. But as a boy, I cannot really tell him that because it's always just been the three of us. And so he's never had an example to say or anyone to say to him, look, there's only one man in this house. You can't be the man and I'm the man also. No. And so I've always talked to him and taught him, you know, you growing to be a young man, you're going to need to know how to do this and how to do that and everything else. But there's things that I cannot show him. I cannot show him opening the door for a young lady. I cannot show him, you know, paying for the first date. I cannot show him mowing the grass and the responsibilities and, you know, things like that from a man's perspective because I'm not a man. And so the best thing that I could have done for him was to make sure that he always had male mentors around him. Whether it is my brother, my dad, his baseball coaches, his godfather, like he has men around him that I've made sure are positive examples of what he should be trying to aspire to, even though his preference seems to be, what is it, young boy NBA? No, he's shaking his head and saying no. Who is it? Who? JD Youngin. JD Youngin. Don't know who it is. I hope that this person has some kind of positivity coming out of their mouth, but that's what he wants to listen to. But as for an actual person, an actual input, someone that you can ask a question to and go to for advice and everything like that, I've made sure that he has people around him that he's able to talk to.
Oh, very good. Okay. Yeah, I think some of the things, you know, we can tell them because we're not men and we don't know how men think. Some of the things I was saying while you were off, we don't know how to think like a man because we're not a man. So we wouldn't know how a man would do in certain situations. But for my sons, I did try to tell them, you know, about opening doors and being respectful and things like that. But I did teach them those type things. But again, to your point, yeah, we need men. And I said we need men that we can trust, that we know they're not pedophiles to be in their life because we don't need anybody in their life, pulling them the wrong way when we're trying to get assistance for them. So that's very good.
Yeah. The best that I can do with him is try to give it from a female perspective, what I would want to receive.
Right.
And hopefully he would want to be the kind of man that would give that type of thing.
Yes, very good. Well, I thank you so much. And I thank everybody that tuned in to get our parents chat, to get a parent's perspective on how we can better assist our young men. And Anastasia, before you leave, what are the tips that you would like to leave with our audience that you thought about, some questions I might not have asked, but a tip that you can think that you want to leave with our parents in our village today?
I think that one thing that I would want to encourage parents to do also, along with, everything that we've discussed earlier, but along with that, in addition to that, don't forget the godly principles. They are always relevant. They are always on time. And the scripture will never change that we should train up a child in the way that they should go. And when they are old, they will not depart from it. It may seem as if they're going wayward from it. It may seem as if it's not taking hold, but it's always there. In the back of their mind, I literally saw today, an exchange of messages between a set of teenagers. And one of them said, "Oh, well, you know what? I know my mom wouldn't want me to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway." And that's how the scripture is. That's how the word of God is with them. It's that lingering thing in the back of their mind. And even if it is that they still make that conscious decision to do what it is that they know isn't right, it's still with them and it's not leaving them. And so they'll go a little far, they'll step off the path a bit, but in the end, it's always with them. So they end up reeling right back in. And so they will not forget it. They will not lose it. They still may not be doing what you want them to do, but it's all coming in the end.
Great tip. Thank you so much. So you heard that. Thank you so much, Anastasia. And for everyone out there, leave us some comments, like, and share this video so that we can assist others. And on Build Your Best Life, my platform is to help young men to overcome obstacles in order to build their best lives. And with that, I was trying to think of a way that I could get that principle to more people. And so I wrote a book of the same title, Build Your Best Life. And you can get this book, an autographed copy, by going to my website, and it's on the screen, www.buildyourbestlife.org. You can get an autographed copy of the book as well. You can look at my calendar of events. I have some great events coming up. Read my blog that comes out on Mondays and learn more about my platform. So again, thank you. Yay! And if you're in the Bahamas, that's no excuse. You can get a book autographed copy of the book from Anastasia. Just reach out to her. She has books in the Bahamas. So don't let that be an excuse. Get your copy today. Thank you. And as you go on your way to be your best self, as you go on your journey, you will run into rough terrain, detours, pitfalls, and distractions. Don't let any of those negative aspects of your journey stop you. Though they may slow you down, keep going to be the best you so that you can build your best life. Thank you so much, and tune in Thursday at 6:30 p.m. for another live broadcast of Build Your Best Life. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you again for tuning in, and thank you, Anastasia, for not giving up and sticking with us. There's information for everyone, so thank you so much.
All right, thank you for having me.
Anytime. Thank you. And for sure, March, 4th Saturday in March, Anastasia and I are going to be on Real Talk. It's a real thing now, real facts. We're going to be on this 4th Saturday. No excuses. So it's at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 4th Saturday this month on Real Talk with Deborah and Anastasia. Thank y'all. Have a good night.
Good night.